Hello everyone! So, yesterday I played a Revenant. I tried of course both as carry, which is actually the role which is recommended for him, at least by the game. But as you know, if you play Paragon, you know that many players enjoyed, including myself, playing Revenant as mid. So again, I tried to use the carry build. It's absolutely terrible, by the way, for mid. That means that you need to really use a specific build in order to make sure that you are more durable. The problem with Revenant as mid, as you are lacking basically AoE and strong zoning capabilities. Also, it's pretty hard for you, especially early on, to clear minion fast, while actually being ganked by other heroes that have much more advantage over you in terms of zoning, ability to poke you. Now you are very strong against single targets. You need to take this into advantage. So the recommendation here is try to poke a lot and deal lots of single target damage to mid, so they won't actually be encouraged to attack you often, not be aggressive. And if they try, actually they can be punished by the jungle. This is why I recommend pushing with your minions and try to again to hit the enemies, what like you do by the way is ADC, but then you have support, here you don't, so basically your kind of coverage is your minions. Otherwise you're just gonna fight the lane and be behind, and this give opportunity to the other mid to go and help the other lanes. And again, try to capitalize on the fact that you are going to be pretty strong and close to mid game, and try to take those low HP targets with your team. Now, one recommendation for you, and this is very important, I made a mistake there, it was pretty miserable. Try to always make sure that if you do ult, you already have your Q ability ready. And not just that, make sure you also have enough bullets so you don't need to reload in between. Basically making sure you have 4 shots. Unless it's very low, you can actually just spend 1 bullet and do the crit hit if you see that is guaranteed elimination. But overall, make sure that you actually don't spend time reloading. Although you're going to reload faster, again, as you progress, make sure you have enough bullets to continue shooting so you get the elimination. Now keep in mind that if you can play as ADC with Revenant, you're going to have protection, so you can actually focus on less protection and actually go with something that deals more damage, especially amplifying the crit damage. Because again, the last bullet will always deal crit damage. But if you again go mid, you want more to kind of balance it out, so maybe your last one won't be as strong as it should, because you kind of spread things out, so it will be, well, less squishy. Now, as you know, one of the disadvantages of Revenant, it doesn't have any way to actually escape, other if he uses his ult, you know, but again, who want to use an ult just to escape, right? You want to take advantage of it. Especially when there are bounties and you want to capitalize on that. So again, if you find yourself against several enemies, again, you're going to be in a bad situation. And let alone, we don't want to have a squishy ADC and another one that is squishy and can't really handle himself. And again, because you don't have really any zoning capabilities, with Revenant is even more important to make sure you get those last hits and get advantage. Again, otherwise you're going to be in a great disadvantage when even going 1 versus 1. You want to make sure to capitalize on your passive, use your ultimate ability in order to make sure you eliminate. Again, otherwise you're going to have really bad time. And again, you might have really great games right now in quick play, but keep in mind when you're playing in ranked and players are more or less at the same level, it won't be that easy. However, when you get again close to late mid game, you're going to find out that this is very, very powerful, and basically you can really take out on so many other enemies, unless it's a tank or against Steel, for example, or Rampage, where you of course want to be with your teammates in order to fight them, or another teammate that can actually help you out and tank, and you can actually just focus on dealing damage. Now, like some other heroes, make sure you combo well with your abilities, for example using Scar and then following up to get extra damage. Maybe opening up when you do your ult so enemies won't escape, so they can be a bit slowed down. One very, very important thing is when you use your Obliterate. If you just spend it for nothing, you won't get a kill. You need to make sure that you don't, like you see here, don't execute it near minions, because it's just going to spread among the minions there and enemies, and instead of getting killed, you can get killed yourself. This means that you need to find enemies that are isolated, not near minions. Actually, enemies will try their best to be near minions, so when you activate Obliterate, it won't actually, all the bullets will home on them. This is a very strong ability, because all the missiles will actually launch on, if there's one single enemy, onto that enemy, and if there are other enemies, it will split. Of course, it will split, going to be less damage. You don't want that. You want to make sure you get an elimination, especially get ready to use it inside the realm. Basically, your ultimate ability. There you can have an advantage and make sure you get a kill. Otherwise, again, you're going to be in a disadvantage when you spread the damage across several enemies. So if you don't pay attention to it, you're going to find out you're actually losing the advantage that you have with just a strong single target damage capability. Alright, so here is an example. You can actually see several enemies. Now look what happens if I release this ability, it's just spread across different enemies. You can see the damage, it's not there because the damage was split. And now I lose the opportunity to actually put it on Gaydon. Aside from that, you can also hit a very tanky enemy, so it's just a waste. Or enemies that have shield, for example, if Muriel is around. Now this is again quite similar to the effectiveness of single target Countess have, but Countess have an AoE, range AoE that can deal damage to several enemies. You have it, but again you don't actually like Countess want to use it because it's split across several enemies. Although it can be very strong again with clearing minions, which is one advantage that you actually have because it's split. Later in the game I can easily clear my minions fast. But again, when it comes to team fights, you need to watch out and know how to use it at the right time. Again, if not, you're going to render yourself absolutely useless. Now, of course, ADC is the natural position for him, and it works really well. Again, I'm saying you can do both, but a proper build and careful gameplay needs to be done when you play the mid. But again, with ADC, this is very natural. You have your support that can help you out, and then you can just focus on, again, doing your sheer damage, focusing on enemies, and make sure you isolate them to deal as much damage as possible and get those eliminations. Now, of course, for Revenant, it's really easy, especially when enemies are low, to really get the kill. Make sure you, again, isolate yourself from any minions. And when any minion is not around, you can actually start pushing, because you know that your damage won't split across the minions. So again, if you play it as ADC, just make sure you do it and don't split the damage between the minions. Wait for the opportunity and then attack. Having said that, there's going to be a lot of enemies, going to be a nightmare for you. So again, as ADC, always take low to the support. Again, you have so many enemies that can easily make your life so hard. It can be Rampage, it can be Countess, that can really surprise you, and really you have nothing to do. So make sure you have your dash ready as an emergency, because again, otherwise you won't have anything that can help you out. Now, because you're very strong against single targets, you can be really good again in trying to help and take Fangtooth and or O-Prime very fast. So participate in those fights to take them out faster. Now, use your ult for three main things. First of all, again, make sure you can eliminate a single target. Make sure it's low. If it's low, you can get the bounty if you're inside and get a kill. Second, to isolate a strong target like the other ADC, especially if you play mid, you want to take out the ADC. You can do this, by the way, if you flank and capture the ADC, which usually is not at a close circle. It's going to be behind a tank or, you know, in the outer circle. If you get it out and you play mid, you get a good advantage for your team, because then your ADC is up and you just isolate and trying first to get a kill, because ADCs are squishy and you're able to do it. But again, keep in mind, ADCs are pretty strong. So otherwise, if you really don't get into this situation where you can really eliminate them, you can be strong as well. But they're going to be an advantage usually in terms of damage. So make sure you have your Q ready and you, again, combo with your E ability so you can actually buff the damage and slow down. And you can get an attack. But it's going to be dangerous, just keep in mind. But the fact that you're actually dealing damage to the ADC, and even if you don't kill the ADC and it comes back to the battle, it's going to be very, very low. You probably won't have the same advantage compared to as it was before you ult him. Keep in mind that with lack of information, basically Revenant is a dead cowboy, dead man. You need to put those words to get information. Try to put it deep so you have enough time, because again, there's so many enemies that can easily take you out if you're not aware. So pay attention to the minimap and know your location. Here, for example, you can see a big mistake. So again, don't do this at home. You can see that what I did here, actually ult. I didn't have the Q ability. I use it here, which is a mistake. I should have saved the Q. Now I don't have the Q and I can actually finish, and basically Rampage just runs away. This is a huge mistake, so don't use it unless you get into the ultimate and he's low and you have your Q, because it's actually home on the target. It will be much easier to kill. So again, Revenant can be very good both mid and of course as ADC in the dual lane. But as you can see, he has its advantages, and again, if you don't play him correctly and you really miss your use with your abilities, you're gonna find out that it can be absolutely a nightmare, especially again against skilled players or with players your team that really don't know how to coordinate well. It can be very hard with them. But again, it works the other way around. If you play good with them, you have good teammates, and you work well with your team, and you put information there, you can be absolutely devastating to the other team. And that's about it. More information will follow. Of course, I need to play more with him. This has been a lot of time since I played with him in Paragon, but oh boy, I play with him a lot, especially, by the way, in mid. Again, builds will come later on. We see which builds can really help dominate with him, both in mid and his ADC. So more will follow, so make sure to subscribe and this one a little like, and see you soon on the next one. Thanks for watching. Cheers.